For most women today, getting a man isn't the problem. Keeping a man, getting his commitment and that long-term investment is what seems to be the most challenging part. And while there are some women who struggle with this, there seems to be a type of woman who always manages to get it, especially when she uses these feminine ways on the man as she wants. So we're going to go through some feminine ways that keep her man choosing you and only you. The first feminine way is understand when to give him space. The feminine seeks intimacy and connection. So if you're in your feminine, if you're a woman who sits in her feminine and you choose to have that feminine role within the relationship, it's completely understandable that you want closeness. You want to spend more emotional time with him. You want him to be sharing things with you, and you want to be sharing things with him. However, we have to understand that the masculine, the polar complementary opposite that of the feminine, the masculine seeks direction, ambition, and freedom. And part of a man having freedom, and it's not freedom from you as a woman, but freedom within himself, is allowing yourself to accommodate when he wants time for himself. Something that I always say is that the relationship a man has with his time is the same relationship a woman has with her kitty cat. It's something that you want to share with him, but it has to be willingly given. Something that guys don't admit, of course, many relationships would never admit this, is that sometimes it can feel a bit claustrophobic. And the reason it can feel quite claustrophobic isn't because he doesn't want to be there. But the reality is, when it comes to relationships, women have more needs and more wants from a relationship in comparison to men. For a man, a relationship requires him to invest a lot of emotional effort because in comparison to men, women are emotional creatures. And so for them to feel happy in the relationship, they want a man's emotional presence. Relationship-orientated men know this. A woman wants you to care about her feelings. She wants to be listened to. She wants to have warm-up before sex. She wants him to do things with her, spend time with her. And so for many men, there are things that he has to give up doing that he'd usually like to do. Things that he now does have to have in some shape or form be directed towards her. Many women look for a man to provide. She's looking for the man to protect her, not only just physically, but also protect her emotions, to make her feel good to make her feel safe. So a man has to truly want a relationship enough to give up this time and emotionally invest. Whereas for most women, the trade-off usually isn't on this side. Most women love spending time in a relationship, love giving their time and putting their emotions into the relationship. And for the woman he chooses, he will do that, of course, because he wants to make her happy. Now, of course, yes, men do like closeness. Yes, they do like some emotional time, of course. They just don't have as great a desire or need for it like most women do. His needs come more in sex, where the man's needs tends to be higher on this end than the women's typically. I saw this really interesting comparison that really articulates how men see relationships. Not how men see women, how men see relationships. I want you to separate those two. A man getting into a relationship is kind of like getting a puppy. He wants and loves the benefits of taking the puppy to the park, play fighting with it, having it around people he loves, the affection he gets from it. But having a puppy requires a lot of responsibility. There's a responsibility to look after the puppy, take it for a walk twice a day, clean up after it, house train it, consider it when making plans, take it to the vet. Having a puppy is actually taking on a lot of responsibility, and men take on a lot of responsibility in a relationship to fulfill the woman's needs, and that takes effort from his part. It's not effort because he doesn't want to do those things, but it's effort because he wants the effect of what those things have on you, because he wants to make you happy. And so sometimes a man needing his space is him just needing a break from the responsibility of fulfilling your needs within a relationship, because generally speaking, women have more needs from a relationship in comparison to men. This is why men, statistically, they're much easier being alone and by themselves. A lot of the lone wolves of the world tend to be men rather than women. Because even if a woman's not in a relationship romantically, she'll have a community, a circle of friends and connections, which is something that she'll prioritize. Now, there's an argument to be made that maybe men should do more of this, and I wouldn't disagree in that sense. But in general, there's a higher need for it than women, and so men want to fulfill that in a relationship. The next feminine way to keep a man, and this sounds very simple, but my goodness, does it have an effect, is to rub his head. Yeah, just rubbing his head. This is incredibly comforting and calming. It's a very primal thing. This makes a man feel relaxed comforted, and calm with a woman. A big reason why this small action has such an effect is because naturally, when we were all babies, it was our mothers who would rub our head, who would keep our temples safe. And so when a woman does this, you will likely find that a man even just falls asleep on you, completely disarms his energy. Ultimately, plays in a big part when a man expresses that he wants a woman to be his peace. And that's the kind of woman that he chooses. It's a very small, nurturing thing that has a bigger impact than you know in how a woman can be a piece for a man. And men crave this. The next feminine way to keep a man is keeping him sexually satisfied. Now, this might sound a bit dutiful, which it's not meant to in the way of me saying this. However, I would be lying if I said it wasn't on the list. A big reason why married men cheat is because of the lack of intimacy in the relationship. Now, what if you're just not in the mood as much? Right? I understand that. What if he wants to have sex several times a week and you only want to have sex maybe once a week and you're not in the mood? Does that mean you should force yourself to do something that you don't want to do? Absolutely not. I'm not condoning that, and you should never do anything that you don't want to do, especially sexually. However, what I will say is, believe it or not, we can put ourselves in the mood by doing things and activities that make us feel good. So think about what hobbies or things you do or that you used to do that makes you feel good, that makes you feel sexy. Maybe it was yoga, maybe it was working out, maybe it was wearing certain figure-hugging dresses. Maybe it was doing your hair. Things that you would have likely done in the beginning to help you attract the guy that you want. Those things help encourage a higher libido and a higher sex drive in us. Now, I'm not saying that you have to do this, but at the end of the day, if you're watching this because you want to know what keeps a man long-term, I'd be lying to you if I said that this isn't something that does being on top of his sexual needs. Not to mention, if he is sexually drained and exhausted, he's not going to have the energy to go anywhere else. And this ties into the next feminine way to keep your man is every now and then to give him the girlfriend experience. When I say this, what I'm referring to is the time period when you were dating where he was courting you and you were wanting to make a good impression on him in order to get the commitment. So, for example, maybe you are out for dinner and under the table, you'd be stroking his leg with your foot. Or maybe one time, the second he got home, you would push him onto the bed and you would go down on him. The girlfriend experience is where for that short period of time, your focus is solely to dote on him and pleasure him, as if you were still fighting to get his commitment. Because the reality is, you are. Unless you're married, and even then, it's not always permanent, but unless you are married, there is room for either party to change their mind about the relationship. This is something that often is lost within a relationship due to familiarity and complacency. Now, I'm not saying that he shouldn't give you the boyfriend experience. He should be absolutely doing that for you too. That is like him still picking you up, him still taking you out on dates, him still wanting to show you off to people. This is something that a man should still do at points throughout the relationship. And equally, the girlfriend experience, the lover experience, is something that a woman should continue to do, at least every now and again. So for example, let's say you're very comfortable in your relationship. You've been together for 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and you've gotten very comfortable with each other, very familiar with each other. Part of the girlfriend experience could be one time before he gets home from work, you've dolled your hair up, you've got that dress on that you like, you've added a touch of makeup, and when he gets in, you just take care of him for the evening. You are literally providing an experience as if you are hosting him. Now, I'm not saying this is something you have to do all the time, but just doing this every now and then, one, it ignites a lot of sexual tension between you two, and two, it makes him go, oh my goodness, this is a woman who wants to still please me, and that makes me want to please her in the way that she wants. The feminine inspires the masculine. And so if you're looking for a great guy to invite into your life, then enroll in my Tame Your Man program below, where I show you how to do just that. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, keep it slick.